I opened the security camera to check if I'd left the stove on. Instead, I watched my wife let a man into our apartment, hand him a bag, and point him straight to the safe I didn't know she knew the combination to. My name is Derek Shaw, 39, operations manager from Seattle, Washington. 5 years married to Mara, freelance photographer, collector of half-finished tea mugs, the kind of woman who remembered strangers' birthdays and cried at nature documentaries. I loved her without reservation. That Wednesday morning, she caught me at the door on my way out. "You're back at the usual time tonight?" "Yeah, around 7, I said. She kissed my cheek and waved me off. What she didn't know was that our building's camera system had come back online at midnight after 9 days of maintenance. I hadn't mentioned it because I hadn't thought to. At 9:47 a.m., I opened the security app at my desk to confirm the feed was working. It was working perfectly. Mara was in the living room, but she wasn't doing what she normally did at 9:47 on a Wednesday. She was standing at our open front door, letting in a man I had never seen in 5 years of marriage. He was carrying 2 empty duffel bags. She closed the door, looked both ways down the hallway the way people look when they are checking for witnesses, then pointed him toward our home office without saying a single word. Like they had rehearsed exactly this. I picked up my phone and called 911 before I had consciously decided to. I kept my voice below the ambient noise of the open office around me. "I'm watching my apartment security feed right now," I said. "There's a man inside. My wife let him in. He's going through our home office. Is your wife in danger, sir?" I watched the screen. Mara had followed him in. She wasn't frightened. She was opening the filing cabinet herself, pulling folders, handing them across to him with the calm efficiency of someone helping a colleague clear a desk on their last day. "No," I said. "She is helping him." I gave my address and stayed on the line. The man worked through the office with quiet precision. Files, external hard drives, the small fireproof safe I kept on the bottom shelf that Mara had always said she didn't know the code for. He didn't try combinations, he just opened it. She had given him the code. He filled both bags in just under 20 minutes. Mara walked him back to the front door, checked the hallway again, then hugged him the way you hug someone who just did you a significant favor. My phone buzzed. "Mara. Just knocked Gerald's water bowl everywhere trying to catch a moth, LOL. Chaos." I stared at that message. She was sending me chaos updates with a laughing emoji, while the evidence of whatever she had just orchestrated was riding the elevator down to the street. I typed back, "Haha, classic." Then I opened my banking app. Joint accounts normal. Then my individual savings account, the one I had been building quietly for 3 years since my mother's health had started declining. Last transaction, yesterday, 6:14 p.m. Wire transfer, $31,200. Outgoing. Destination account unrecognized. I scrolled up through the history with completely steady hands because shock does that sometimes. Makes everything feel like someone else's emergency. 4 prior transfers over 7 weeks. $3,800, $7,100, $9,400, $6,600. Small enough to feel like rounding errors. Large enough to total $58,100 before yesterday's wire. She had been doing this for 7 weeks. I left the office without speaking to anyone, sat in my car in the parking structure with the engine off, and watched the footage again from the beginning. Man arrives with empty bags. Mara lets him in. Office, filing cabinet, safe, both bags full. Hallway check, hug, gone. 18 minutes and 40 seconds. I called my bank, froze every account, then drove to my friend Paul Hendricks, who had been running a private investigations practice in Capitol Hill for 8 years. He opened his door, looked at my face, and stepped aside. I showed him the footage. He watched it without expression, then rewound to the frame where the man's face was clearest near the door. "His posture," he said quietly, "the way he clears angles before moving, handles objects without direct contact, systematic room to room. That is not opportunistic theft." He looked at me. That man came for specific items. He knew exactly what was in that office and exactly where it was. Paul paused. "What was in the safe?" "Documents. My mother's estate paperwork. Her medical power of attorney. The title to a property she had transferred to me 8 months ago before her diagnosis worsened." Paul's expression shifted slightly. He was already typing. He ran Mara's full name, date of birth, Oregon state records, Washington DMV, Social Security cross-reference from our joint tax returns. 30 seconds of silence. Then he turned the screen toward me. 0 results, he said. Not limited, not unavailable. 0. Complete absence. Like someone had constructed a person from a name and a history and handed her to me 5 years ago, and I had accepted her entirely without ever once checking what was underneath. He ran variations. Maria Chen, Mara Lynn Chen, California records. The social security number from our returns belonged to a Mara Lynn Chen, born 1984, died 2001, 17 years old. Paul leaned back. She's been running a ghost identity, he said, the same tone he would use to read a traffic report. Someone who died young enough that their records predate comprehensive digital systems. Clean number, buildable history, no living person to dispute you. He paused. This takes infrastructure, Derek. She was not new to this when she met you. He pulled up another screen. Your mother's estate, when did it finalize? 6 weeks ago, I said. We looked at each other. Paul put his hand on my arm before I could reach for my keys. Don't go back there alone, he said. Not if she's who I think she is. Paul called Detective Karen Yuen directly. She picked up on the second ring. I spoke for 5 minutes without stopping. When I finished, she was quiet for 4 seconds. Send me the clearest image you have of the man in that footage right now. I pulled the best frame from the feed and sent it. 20 seconds passed. I know him, Yuen said. Her voice had shifted into something careful and precise. His name is Andre Polk, known associate of a woman we've been tracking across 3 states under 4 different identities. She paused. Send me your wife's photo. I sent the best frame I had. 10 seconds. Then, Derek. The woman in your apartment is wanted in Oregon, Nevada, and Colorado. Estate fraud, identity theft, conspiracy to commit financial crimes. She's been operating for 9 years. 9 years. I had been married to her for 5 of them. She has a vehicle registered separately from yours? I gave the plate number. Yuen typed something and stopped. Derek. Her car triggered a plate reader at SeaTac Airport 11 minutes ago. Terminal S. I wasn't allowed near the airport. Yuen was firm. I sat in Paul's kitchen with cold coffee and watched the minutes pass until my phone rang at 3:52 p.m. We have her, Yuen said. 3 words. Andre Polk was arrested 40 minutes later at a UPS store in Bellevue, attempting to ship my mother's estate documents to a Las Vegas address. Her real name was Sandra Kowalski. Born in Fresno, 41 years old. 9 years of constructed identities, carefully selected targets, 5 confirmed victims before me. Men who had lost inheritances and savings, and in 3 cases, never fully understood what had actually happened or who had actually done it. She received 11 years. Andre Polk received 7. I recovered most of the transferred funds. My mother's estate documents came back in an evidence bag. The safe contents came back 3 weeks after the arrest, every item accounted for. Some nights I still hear her asking that question at the door. You're back at the usual time tonight? Warm, casual, completely manufactured from the first syllable. I used to think loving someone completely meant you knew them completely. Now I know it just means you trusted them completely. And sometimes the person you trusted completely was counting on exactly that from the very beginning. If this story stopped you, follow this account right now, because what came out during her trial about the 5 victims before me is a part 2 that reframes this entire story from the beginning. Comment feed if you would have called 911 before you even processed what you were seeing. Like this if you think the scariest thing in this story isn't what she did, but how long she had already been doing it. Share this with someone who needs to hear that loving someone without reservation is not a weakness. It just means you deserved someone who is actually there. Follow now. Every story I tell is worth your time.